All right, let's go ahead and get into it. My name is Alexa. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm your head of online community at Housecall Pro, your host for the Home Service Evening Update. I'm joined by my co-host Roland. He's a co-founder of Housecall Pro, and Mel, who's our awesome Senior Vice President of People. For the past 12 weeks, we've been sharing the state of the world according to the home service industry, and we focus on one main topic or guest every evening at 5 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Thursday. So if you guys have been joining us, you know that this is our last week of live shows before we move to an on-demand version, the Monday after 4th of July. So our last show will be tomorrow. We're going out with a bang with our special guest, Simon Sinek, and we're going to be moving to an on-demand version after that, like I said. And we'll be releasing one episode a week starting on that Monday. So just to let you guys know, this is the second to last show, so we're super pumped that you guys are joining us. You will, of course, be able to watch us on YouTube and on Facebook after, but we just want to keep letting you know so you don't show up here on Monday wondering where we are. But we promise we're still here for you. We'll keep showing up for you. We're always here for help and resources, and we hope to continue to bring you really great content and really great guests. And tonight, we're super excited to welcome Tina Howe and Jaime Howe on the show tonight. The Bill Howe family of companies is a family-owned and operated plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, restoration, and flood services company. Tina and Jaime are sharing the strategies of how they've grown to be one of the biggest and well-known service companies in San Diego. And as San Diego locals ourselves, and I'm going to share this later, like you can't walk down the street without seeing a Bill Howe plumbing truck. They're iconic. Yeah. They're iconic. So everywhere. And we want to have them share those strategies and their stories on how they got their company to that level. So before we get into that main part of the interview, we're going to go quickly over to Mel for a State of the World news update, about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll be back for our interview with Tina and Jaime.
And I do just have to weigh in that although we have Simon Sinek tomorrow, who I think has 48 million views on his TED Talk, my kids have no idea who that is, but they know Bill Howe Plumbing. So they think that I've got the biggest celebrities on tonight, and they can't figure out, well, why aren't they ending the show live tomorrow instead of whoever the Simon guy is? So just so you know, you are big with 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool. Great. So as Alexa mentioned, I'm Melina Fairley. I'm your Senior Vice President of People at Housecall Pro. Most people around here call me Mel, and I'll continue to join after we move to the recorded broadcast in the future. But for now, this is one of my last updates. We started this to update you with what was going on in the world of coronavirus. And we're still going to do that tonight and tomorrow and give you a little bit of highlights and news. And then hopefully we've given you enough resources to be able to continue to get the updates that you need after this. So every day, Roland helps take us to the Johns Hopkins dashboard where we look at some numbers of where we are globally and in the US. So over 6 million confirmed global cases, nearing 400,000 global deaths, nearing 3 million recovered worldwide. Here in the US, I think we all remember when we hit the 100,000 mark for deaths, we're at 107,000. There you see 1.84 million cases. And as far as recovered, we're at almost 500,000. So according to the CDC, the US could potentially surpass 2 million cases in the next 10 to 14 days. And I remember when we started doing this evening update, we were in the hundreds of cases, and now we're talking about 2 million. So just a staggering past few months. So we're continuing to keep an eye on the trends in different states. So several states continue to have some concerning trends after relaxing social distancing measures. So for example, Alabama has reported testing results that indicate a relative increase in community transmission, which would also indicate that we might not have enough testing capacity to keep up. They're also reporting a slight increase in hospitalizations in Alabama. Texas is also exhibiting a steady increase in new COVID-19 cases. And here in California, we are in the process of relaxing social distancing measures, but according to the CDC as a whole, the state does continue to report increasing COVID-19 cases, posting our highest daily totals, 3 of our highest daily totals in the past 6 days. So we also are testing more, so some of that can definitely come into play with any of those numbers. As we know, nursing homes and assisted living centers were really hit very hard during all of this. So a new published report that outlines the total of nursing homes shows that more than 25,000 nursing home residents and 400 staff have died so far as a result of the epidemic, which is just truly heartbreaking. I know that everyone also is keenly aware of the protests against racial and social injustice, including police brutality directed at Black Americans. And this is continuing across the U.S. And protesters have been joined by thousands of others around the world. The international demonstrations have been growing just remarkably. And many photos show protesters wearing face masks and taking efforts to protect themselves. However, the Surgeon General is definitely warning that no mass gathering is without a risk of increased transmission. So there is expressed concern about increased transmission following the protests due to the spread of the disease. And some states are getting creative. In Atlanta, state health officials are working to establish pop-up testing sites for protesters to show that you don't have to choose between going out and doing what you think is right and fighting for justice and protecting your health. So I think that's a pretty innovative approach to take advantage of the large numbers of people. We're all looking for a vaccine. We've had recent updates that multiple vaccines are currently in development stages. So there's, quote, cautious optimism, end quote, that some will be safe and effective. So today, Dr. Anthony Fauci commented that clinical trials could potentially yield results by fall, which would be amazing. However, he did note that the vaccine may not give everyone long-term immunity. So if COVID-19 behaves like other coronaviruses, this could mean the need for multiple doses of the vaccine or periodic boosters, maybe something like we do with the flu. You've got to continue to get new ones to ensure lasting immunity. So we will all be watching for the advent of a vaccine that would really be life-changing for all of us. There's also a new study that came out. This pilot was looking at cases in China, and what they learned was that the transmission prior to symptoms does exist. As we've been hearing, transmission, you can transmit this when you don't have any symptoms, but what the learning was is that it appears that it is less potent than individuals exhibiting symptoms. And they measured this by finding that when they went back and traced the cases, people that got it from folks who had no symptoms tended to be people who shared a living space. So like you'd have to be around someone for a longer period of time to have a high likelihood of getting it from someone that did not have symptoms. So I don't know about you, but for me, those initial findings, and it's still preliminary, but that was giving me definitely some comfort, because I think the hard thing is that when everyone seems well but can still transmit, it makes us all have pause as to how to get back to doing more activities in our lives. So we will continue to keep our eye on that and give you one final update tomorrow. Roland, I know you wanted to give us a trades index, a health index for plumbing tonight.
Yeah, so normally we typically share this in the beginning of the week, but because we have Tina and Jaime on, I figured we'll probably ask them some questions about this. But we track, because we're a platform to be able to help home service companies run their business, we track how things are going. So the blue line is 2019, the red line is 2020. And you can actually select your industry and your state to see how you can kind of compare. But on average, what we see is that for a lot of the plumbing companies, they're almost exactly at the same kind of level that they were in 2019. So maybe something we'll dive down in a little bit here, but if you guys want, we'll post the URL in here in the chat so you guys can go take a look for your particular industry. But maybe there'll be some extra color here that we're going to get out of our guest tonight.
We're like, ha ha ha. Thank you all for our State of the World. We'll see Mel back here tomorrow for our final State of the World and our final show. And we're going to get into the bulk of our interview now with Tina and Jaime. So we'll see you tomorrow, Mel. Thank you.
Night.
All right. So before we get started, I want to give a quick introduction to both Tina and Jaime. If you were here in the very beginning of this, you heard me say, as San Diego locals, you can't walk down the street, you can't drive anywhere without seeing a Bill Howe plumbing truck. And so they're here today. And if you saw in the title, and I'm sure you guys use your last name a lot in this way, it says how to become a local icon and the go-to home service company in your city. So we're going to dive into that and so much more tonight. So Tina came to the U.S. from England when she was 18 years old and worked really hard to establish a career here. She's been an integral part to the company's growth in an industry that is significantly male-dominated. She recently served as president of the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association in 2012 to 2013, where she was instrumental in the establishment of the HVAC apprenticeship program and currently serves on the PHCC Academy Board. She continues to be an inspiration to women who are establishing careers in this industry, specifically the Bill Howe family of companies as well. So we have a lot of lady pros watching here tonight. That's why I'm so stoked to have you guys here. And Jaime Howe Stolas is the oldest Howe daughter and the first to join the family business. In 2015, she helped the Bill Howe family of companies celebrate their 35th anniversary in San Diego and also gave birth to her second child, Hadley, with her husband, Brendan. Congratulations. She attended Cal State Fullerton and joined the Bill Howe family of companies after graduation. She began at entry level learning her family business from the ground up, and we are so excited to hop right into this. I would love to learn a bit more about you guys and your role in your company's journey and the current roles that you hold at the Bill Howe Plumbing Company.
All right.
Good question.
My cue to get started there?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Bill Howe family of companies began in the late 70s. The two Bill Howe started it, father and son. I joined the company in 1982. I was the first secretary. So I always say I'm owner, vice president, but I'm jack of all trades and master of none. So yes, and it's, we've now been officially in business for 40 years because we incorporated in 1980, and this was to be our celebratory year, but we're postponing it until next year now.
Good call, yeah.
And I can't remember when I started, 2008 or 9, but I joined not expecting to commit and stay long term, but I thought I'd just use it as a way to get back down to San Diego, and then I ended up staying and learning from the ground up. I was a call taker, I was a collector, I was a dispatcher, I worked in accounting, payables, lining, HVAC, numerous departments, just to understand everything and be a support rather for all of our employees, because support is key as you continue to grow, and providing that service to them first, as it trickles into your customers as well. So it's been a blessing, and I told my dad I'd never marry a plumber, but here I am. I married my husband, a plumber. So blessed with 3 kids and my husband, and blessed to work in a company that my parents started from the ground up.
That's awesome.
Great background story.
What's your current role or title in the company right now?
Right now, operations manager. Kind of like my mom, I help out wherever's needed. But I still take phone calls. Sometimes there's always overflows, and being able to jump in and always know the business and know how to answer that call. It's like I said, it's a support for everyone. I never want to lose that skill, because at any point, everybody needs to jump in any position to keep the wheels running.
Totally. That's so important as an owner and as a leader. No one respects a leader who can't do the job of their employees. So I think that's really awesome that you still are able to hop on the phone if needed.
Yeah, we're big believers in everybody kind of picks up the trash. Even when we were able to come to our office, we would do the dishes. You'd find Brooks, our COO, doing the dishes too. And, just to show everybody, like, whenever we ask from the leadership position of like, hey, can you do this? Like, we've done it. We've done all the jobs. And so it's super great to hear that both you two have done that, because that gives you so much insight and see really where all the pieces of the puzzle kind of fit. So obviously you guys are an iconic San Diego brand. I feel like you guys have done a great job at building it. There's very few companies that are as recognizable as you guys in the local area. So if you were to give some advice to some of our pros that are kind of watching, what are some things that you guys have done to become one of the most well-known and loved service companies in San Diego?
Well, I think one of the things for me is we've always been honest, transparency. Bill likes to say that we give the red carpet service, but without the red carpet price. If we ever make mistakes, and we do, because we're human, our technicians are human. It's not a perfect world out there. So if we ever make a mistake, we always make it right. Trust is a huge factor. We want that customer to always trust us. We want them to call us back. our repeat business is about 87%. We're very proud of that record.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, I deal with the majority of the complaints along with my CSR manager, dispatch manager, and field supervisors. Nothing's done by one person. But with that, it's important to ensure that you do go back and you do make it right. We're not a one and done company. So when we do have the slip up, whether it's a leak or a huge, flood, damaged cabinet, whatever it might be, we own it. Sometimes even when it wasn't our mistake. Pictures are everything. But we go back and we do make it right. We hug that customer, we apologize, and we trust that they'll respect that and return it with a callback to one of our divisions or departments, and also spread the word that when we do mess up, we're there to make it right.
That's really respectable. And I know a lot of our pros watching right now, you all have that same mindset. So right now, how many trucks and employees do you guys have on the road right now?
I believe we employ just over 200 employees. As far as trucks, we've got 58 plumbing trucks, and then on the is that about right?
Yeah, I think out on the road, it's like 120 vehicles among
all the divisions.
Among our divisions, yeah.
That's why you can't walk down the street without seeing a Bill Howe truck. So knowing how many employees you have, over 200 employees, and how many trucks you have on the road, when the coronavirus hit, how did your company initially handle that, and how have you pivoted your company during this time?
Well, that's definitely a Jaime answer, because she was the one that orchestrated that with her sisters, and they were just amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of a shock as everything unfolded. We had a lot of team players in being strategic on how we were going to continue business. We had our risk manager and our HR manager and my sisters, and it definitely took a team along with our marketing division. But I'd have to say we did have to furlough a few employees. We were able to bring all of them back now, so it's a wonderful process that we are right now. But we transitioned into remote workspaces. All of our CSRs are now remote. Our payable and receivables were remote. Our dispatchers are inside. So we used to have about, I'd say like 30, 35 people in the office. We're down to about 10, 15. It's been something that we never thought we'd be remote. It was a scare. It's like you want to like choke yourself because you feel like you have no control over the conversation, the body language, whatever it might be, being able to jump on that conversation. But our teams have been amazing. Our CSRs are incredible. We also transitioned more into a contactless experience. So we have our technicians do like a will call drive-through. When they need parts, they fill out a form on that job and they come through. We do virtual estimates. So go right on our website, chat everything you need, send pictures. We haven't gotten that right all the time. We arrive on site and it wasn't just a cartridge and it's a whole widespread faucet. So it's a little tricky sometimes. But so we've been strategic that way. Our technicians are equipped with all their PPE gear. They've been incredible, I gotta say. And spraying down with a medical grade spray before and after their jobs, wearing their masks, always offering what we can do to provide safety by our technician and our customer. We have a text message that goes out when they're dispatched saying we'd like a 10-foot distance so we don't have that hovering customer over the shoulder, which our technicians do like as well. So that's a blessing in disguise with the COVID-19. We don't have that customer over our shoulder. But it's been different. There's been challenges. We're still trying to get it right, but it's growing, and the convenience factor with the customer has been everything. That's been really important. So whatever's easiest for them, and then in return supporting our technicians, we've been able to get to the door and make it happen.
I really like the way that you guys are willing to try kinds of new stuff throughout this entire time and just constantly innovate, because I think it's really important. And even more so, like as your company grows, we're kind of similar sized from an employee count. Like it becomes harder because you have to move more people, do things that with a lot more quickness to be able to react in time. So One thing that you mentioned, which I feel like you kind of barely touched on, but I think is really cool that you guys have done, is in the commercials on virtual estimates. I see that now, on the commercials that I see, you guys are definitely leading with that. You guys aren't shying away from that. So how do you guys do it, and how has it been working out? And then more importantly, do you think this is something that will be in place forever kind of going forward? Or is this something you think will go away? Or do you think maybe some variation of it? I'm just curious to hear kind of your thoughts around that.
Good question.
I think it's something that will continue. I know our technicians like it. They don't like to take multiple trips to the house, and the customer certainly doesn't either. And nobody, the travel time and the paying for the travel time, and not everything's stocked on the truck. So when you do have that picture, it's important. Our customers can send videos in too. We chat with them online. So it's been strategic, because you have to ask the customer a certain way, because they don't understand, like, I need a floor to ceiling picture of the water heater, but then, I need this, so it's kind of just communicating in a way that they'll understand. Obviously, with knowledge is power for our technicians too. So the more they have, the more support, they're able to get to that door and ensure it's a one-trip visit. So we're doing everything we can to be safe, and then get in, do the job, and they're comfortable, and we're not spending, and our efficiencies are higher.
Yeah, it makes total sense. If you don't have to drive that truck that much, I mean, I can only imagine like the returns, getting that time back. And then also from an inventory perspective, what you're going to need when you show up to the job. Not you show up to the job and you're like, oh man, I don't have this on the truck. Let me go run back and then go back again. So it sounds like it's definitely there to stay, which is really interesting to see. So for the pros that are watching, if you haven't tried this yet, look to the leaders in the spaces to see what they're doing. This is a great thing you guys should be thinking about, because it's not only good for your customers, it's also good for you and good for your technicians.
Oh yeah, I just did a virtual estimate for my air conditioning unit, and he was going to drive all the way back out here to take another picture of the label, and I was like, let's just do it over the phone. And it ended up being like this really cool experience, and you get to talk to the tech more, you hear more about their personality, and it gets the customer involved in it. Now, like, I'm texting my tech, and I think it's great. So I think it's like, I'm all for virtual estimates, especially right now. And even when he was in here, we were still maintaining that distance. So thinking about your PPE measures is really good too. So I want to talk a bit about operations. Obviously, with so many employees, you have to have a lot of operational strategies in place. Can you tell me like what you think is the most important operational system or strategy you've put into place in your business that has really helped you get to that next level?
My mom, she likes the word accountability. As we all struggle with that a little bit, myself included. I'll do everything else but that one thing I needed to do to hold myself accountable for the next step. But yeah, accountability is a huge word at Bill Howe, to ensure that we're getting to the needs of our customers, our CSRs are reaching their numbers, and we've included metrics to continue our growth, so we can see, where we're forecasted. Are we missing those margins? Are we missing those budgets? So that's been huge. Our CSRs, they reach certain inbound call counts. Our outbounders, they reach certain outbound call counts. But it's great. It's goals for them as well to continue to reach for and strive for. What can I do better? And they have a little bit of a competition between each other. Sometimes it's crazy and it gets to be overwhelming.
Is good.
Yeah. But I think we all strive for those goals and those expectations, and then the accountability at the end to ensure quality control is happening in the field and your technicians are doing what they need to be doing. And we contract with somebody else who listens to our phone calls, and they help coach our CSRs as well, just to get better at what they do, to ask the right questions. And then it just trickles down to our technicians, because then they know what they're doing out there. They get the right call, and we send the right technician to a drain call, not a plumbing call or whatever it might be. So yeah, accountability.
Yeah, and for quality control, we have site visits. Every technician, at least twice a month, gets a site visit from a manager to check that, their uniform's correct, that they're doing what they're supposed to do in the home. Just to keep tabs on everything. Make sure that the brand is always represented in the way we want it represented.
I really like that piece. So with the site visit, they go out with the technician and like shadow them on the job. How does that work?
No, they do. It's the dispatcher sets them up, and they go out when the technician is actually on the job, knock on the customer's door, ask if everything's going well, have several key questions for the customer, and then they go check on the technician. It also gives us the opportunity to make sure that their van's washed too, and that it's nice and tidy, that all their tools are supposed to be there where they're supposed to be.
Representing the brand well, just like you said, the way it needs to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like when we had Ken Goodrich on, he's got obviously Gettle is very large, and he's got all these kind of checklists and systems in place, and everything is checked off. And to grow to a size, a certain point, for some of these smaller companies, once you start entrusting your brand, your systems and these things, on somebody else to go represent it, you got to make sure that it gets done the way that you want it to get done. And the only place to do that is if you have that accountability in place. So that's a really, really good tip that you definitely shared. I feel like the kind of the on-site visits is a great way to make sure that they feel like, hey, at any moment, I can have someone come, and that's how you can cost effectively do that accountability measure, which I like. That's a really, really great tip. Now, a big thing that we get asked a lot is, how do I get my business to the size? Obviously, I need to do marketing. I know probably it's definitely changed since Tina, when you were in there, running the show and talking across the teams. How has that changed from kind of what you were doing to Jaime now, what you see at the company? Are there any tips that you kind of give any kind of home service company out there that you've seen has either particularly worked for you or where you've doubled down on recently, maybe because of COVID? I'm just curious to learn more on what kind of tips you guys have.
Well, we've been in business for a long time. The first, I would say 20 years, it was a lot of, knocking on doors, sending out $15 coupons for drains, and organic. We had a lot of, repeat customers. About 20 years ago, we decided to hire an agency with the radio and TV. And that is what actually is when we really took off. We decided we needed a jingle, how the logo was going to look, the colors were decided, everything was kind of strategically put in place. And it was through the agency that we discovered this, because we kind of knew it, but we just didn't know how to implement it and do it the correct way. So yes, that was the first step. And then, and now it's a lot of, it's changed, the whole world has changed, everything's digital. So we're doing the whole keywords, Google My Services, email blasts, Facebook, you name it, we're doing it, as with, I'm sure, most companies.
That's great advice. Yeah.
So obviously we see your commercials, billboards. What has been like the most maybe surprising marketing campaign that you've done that's had a really great payoff that maybe you weren't expecting?
Google Local Services has been incredible as far as branding online, as well as Google Guarantee. We've also done a lot. We've upped our presence online. So we didn't really do a lot of strategic as far as sending out emails. We tried to kind of stay away from that as far as a junk mail and thinking that customers wouldn't want to open it. And we didn't want to fill up their inbox. Everybody's kind of new to this contactless experience. We've been on it for 2.5 years, so it's still kind of new with us, or maybe we were a little late in the game, I'm not sure, but it was a big overhaul nonetheless. But we started to do some of that email marketing campaign and had an incredible open rate, success to my sister Jessica, who implemented it with our $82 drains, with our flushes. We also started outbounding a lot more. And I know we all think like telemarketers and stuff like that, but we've incorporated memberships with certain particular services. So doing that has just wrapped our arms around the customer. And so we have them for multiple departments over various companies, and they're a Bill Howe customer now. So we have them in the HVAC with their preventative maintenance, with their tankless flush, with their preventative maintenance for jetting, for buildings. So that's been and we didn't know that. Water filtration, we started new memberships with that, going back and pulling those reports and just creating these recurring services. And it just pops up. It's easy. It's just call customer or email, whatever's more convenient, and they book. So, I mean, it's definitely kept us afloat, and we're following up on all our estimates next day. So we've incorporated that over the last year and a half, and she's doing a great job. We just started somebody else doing it. So although outbounding, it sounds old, I feel like, but it's done wonders. It's something that you don't think of, and it's definitely organic.
Oh, and another thing that Jaime added, and I thought would never work, is live chat on our website.
Oh yeah, she didn't want to do that.
I was like, no, it's never going to work, but
yeah,
it did.
So we do have live chat, booking online. Like I said, anything that is convenient. We all like convenience, myself included. I hate getting on the phone and calling sometimes. So if I can do something online, I'm more inclined to do it.
Same.
Yeah, I feel like I keep hearing the same thread. You guys always are willing to try a lot of things, even if you think they don't work. I feel like a lot of people get in their own head where it's like, no, people only want to call. They only want to call. I'm never going to try this. I heard this back when everyone's like, oh, Yellow Pages is all I need. Just Yellow Pages. What's this web thing? I just Yellow Pages. Just call myself AAA Plumbing, so I get right to the top. No, it's not. The world changes. And if you're not willing to experiment and try new things, it's really cool hearing you guys do a lot of this. And even things that worked in the past, or like outbounding, calling your customer base. I feel like you guys have done a great job too, growing kind of across verticals, different business units. So, not just plumbing, because obviously, you think Bill Howe Plumbing, but then you have HVAC, and you start to expand. What is some advice? Like, when do you take those leaps? Because I feel like being able to have that same Bill Howe customer across these multiple parts across the family is really advantageous. Like, what made you take that jump, and how did you do it? Maybe walk it through for some of the pros that are considering this in their business.
Well, for heating and air, it's like, I think it was back in 2006 that we realized, a lot of our customers were asking our technicians, oh, by the way, do you do heating and air? And at the time we didn't. So we were referring some of our other competitors who were in that space. And when things didn't go right, they weren't taking care of the customer the way that we would take care of the customer. The quality wasn't there. And then, of course, because we'd referred that customer, they were holding us accountable. So we thought, well, this isn't a win-win. And so we knew we had the customers that needed this service. So we just figured out how to do it, to get the license, to get the managers, the technicians. It is a little bit of a different animal than plumbing, but it has relevancy. So yeah, no, we've made it work. And then in 2009, we realized that, we do make mistakes in the plumbing world. And sometimes when we make mistakes, they can be quite large, and it's normally to do with water. So we needed a emergency restoration company. So one of our daughters went and got the contractor's license. So we opened up the restoration company.
Restoration and reconstruction.
Yeah.
So how many
those are close.
You guys do 5 different lines?
Well, we've got 3 licenses. We've got the plumbing, the heating and air, and the restoration and flood. But we also have a lining division and a water filtration division. But those 2 divisions are under the plumbing license.
Yep. And I think filtration is really big in San Diego, because here our water does not taste very good. And whenever I go up to the Bay Area, I'm like, oh, this is what water should taste like. And I'm like, oh, I got to figure out how to get an HOA to convince them to get a filtration device. I don't think that'll ever happen with our HOA, but I'll keep my fingers crossed.
So you guys are a family-owned and operated business, and we posted a poll on our Instagram earlier today with the really fun picture of all you guys like gathered around the desk. And most of our pros, they're family-owned, family-operated business. And one of the biggest topics I think that comes on over and over again is, how do you handle this and maintain both the good family relationship and also a good business and professional relationship without one letting affect the other or ruin the other completely?
Take it away, Jamie.
look at each other like you
I see how it works now. I see how.
Oh my gosh. She doesn't want to say the wrong thing. Like anything, it's communication, open communication. We each have a different communication style, which we're finally putting that together. It's been a long time. She would come, I would be late to a meeting, and she'd come running around the building yelling at me, "Why aren't you in here?" Which, I didn't really respond very well at that. But open communication, our communication styles, like I said, they're all different, just like working with all of your employees and your technicians. They all respond differently. And when you feel that there's that tension, you got to address it right away, like immediately. Because you don't want it to go into the after hours. You might see him at dinner, and then you still harboring this conversation, and I might be totally oblivious of what happened. So just being direct, being open, and just sharing, because we all step on each other's toes and we might not know it. So it's important to just be upfront, be honest and transparent, so that we can all get back to work the next day.
I can just imagine Tina across the table with the steak knife, like Jaime, relate to that meeting.
This happened.
So this is probably going to be my most favorite question, and 50%, if not more, of our viewers on everything are women. We call them lady pros. So these are women who are in the trades, whether you guys own your own businesses, whether you're out in the field doing the work, you're a co-owner, you're a full owner, or you're in the office doing all the admin stuff and marketing stuff. So as successful women in a male-dominated industry and female leaders of a majority male company, what advice would you give to our lady pros?
Well, what's always guided me well is I've always had, I would say, vast goals for myself and the business as a whole. But those goals are normally like 10, 15 years out. But they're there. Those are the things that I desire. So then I figure out what's going to get us there, and what's it going to get. So you go back year by year, and then you break it down to month by month, week by week, and then basically by the day. What are you going to do every day that's going to make a difference, that's going to have an impact on the business that you're driving? And for me, it's always been consistency. Just keep doing what you do well. If you've got a passion for it, it will show. It will come out. People will see it. People will gravitate to you, and they'll want to use your services. Honest, transparency, consistency. Just do what you know, do it well.
And Jaime, what about you?
What she said? No. I would say be ambitious. Never let someone think that you're any less. Sometimes I'm not as smart as the plumbers. I know that. I am not a plumber. But I lean on them all the time. But I lean on them and their trust and their guidance to grow my knowledge. And it's practicing that success. Like every day, you might make a mistake, and I do it often, but owning it, trying another thing, going at it again, asking another question, empowering yourself around people that are smart and savvy, and the leaders in the industry, always leaning on them for guidance. And then it will grow, and you just keep trucking, you keep pushing and pushing. And that's something that I learned from my parents is you never give up. You fall down, you get back up. In gymnastics, I fell down numerous times, but it's not something that you can't do. It's when you will be able to do it. So you just keep going through the motions day after day, and be ambitious about it, and love what you do. And the goals will be there at the end.
I like that.
That's really good advice. I also feel like you guys are always willing to try lots of different aspects of the business across all the different lines. And I feel like, really being able to get the respect, you guys are really doing all the hard work. And so I feel like that's also a big contributor to your guys' success. So I feel like those are all great tips for our lady pros. And we've got a great community for them on our Facebook group, thousands of them in the group. I'm sure they're all really excited to see this, and they'll be watching. So we've got a little bit of time here. We've got some Q&A questions here. And so I'm going to start off with the first one here, which is, you guys are everywhere around town. How do you structure your marketing and how do you measure effectiveness?
Wish our marketing person was here. No, I'm kidding.
Well, every call that our CSRs take, we, if they're a repeat customer, it's going to be in our system. If they're not, then we try to do our best to figure out where exactly did that client come from. But when you have a brand, and sometimes it's difficult when you're on radio, TV, they see your truck, you're on the internet, it's everything combined. So I wish we had a crystal ball there. So we do our very best to figure out which avenue. But what we do consistently is we have a marketing budget it's quite large. And even when things are tough, we never change it. We just keep at it, keep consistently, with our radio, our TV, our digital, our billboards, our online, everything. So that never goes away, because in-house, we do a really good job with all of our repeat customers, with our outbounding to them to make sure everything's still okay. And if they need a plumber, or anything, please call us. So that is for our new customer acquisition, which you continually have to do. Mm-hmm. So basically keep spending the money so everybody knows that we're still around.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of, pros, as I was going through COVID, the first thing they were to slash, like, oh, no more marketing, no more jobs aren't coming in, so stop marketing. But obviously when you get the momentum going, I think that's a really interesting strategy, is to keep spending, because, in reality too, it's plumbing. The demand isn't going to change. In fact, there's probably more people at home flushing all kinds of funky stuff when they couldn't find the right toilet paper in the stores anymore. So I could only assume that, there's definitely benefits to that. It's always good to have like a strong strategy. And it sounds like, because you guys, obviously, I know you have a big brand, it gets a little harder to measure which is the exact touch point. But because of that, you guys have a consistent strategy. So that makes a lot of sense.
We have a really good question from Facebook. What are the benefits of having such a large company? Is it the fact that you can support a whole family, or that you're putting more money into a savings account than you would as a small company? Or since you have a manager, you can take off on vacation and run the company still. So the question is, what are the benefits of having a large company and growing to that size?
That's a very good question. And it's a question that probably Bill and I think about constantly. Having a business has definitely changed from the late 70s to today. There's a lot more challenges. I think it's a lot harder to run a company today than it was back then. There's so many rules and regulations, employment law, everything that it's difficult to navigate sometimes. For myself, I think we've come this far with the Bill Howe brand. I feel that we are recognized in the community as a company to trust, and we're proud, we're grateful. And I also feel really grateful that 3 of our children have decided to come into the business and continue the legacy. We've got 6 grandchildren. It's like, my hope down the line is Bill Howe family of companies will be something that they might want to step into. It has so much potential. I never would have thought, in my dreams that it could be possible, but it is. And it's
Blessed?
Blessed. Yeah, blessed.
I mean, yeah, it's a name that, that like my mom said, a name that's trusted. So it's nice when, my son is at school and, my husband picks him up in the Bill Howe truck, someone says, oh, you have the Bill Howe house. Yes, that's me. So it's nice. I mean, it's encouraging that you can have something for so long and it's still trusted and out there in the community, and it's you're proud to be there. It's something that you build every day, and it continues to grow. So being that establishment for everyone and for yourself, it's something that you're proud of.
And I would say, because the lady had asking, about flexibility, for her dad and I, we have the flexibility now. We didn't for many years. So the flexibility is greater for us than it is for my children.
Yeah.
They are shackled to their desk right now.
24/7.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, Mom. Yeah, super nice.
She's got the grandchildren though. Pick up whenever they need.
It's a good trade. I feel like that's a good lead into this next question, Alexa. What do you think? So this guest says, you guys are so great. You look like you're having a lot of fun. What is it about your culture that creates this? And how do you get employees bought into that culture?
You know, well, I'll start it, Jamie.
Yeah.
We care. You know, my husband and I come from very humble beginnings. Starting the company, we've always had an open door policy that has continued through the 40 years. Any employee can come to Bill and I with any concerns, or, you know, or even just to pop their head in and say hello. It's, our culture is, it's very fair. It's one of respect, you know, again, honesty, transparency within our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. It's they say you take care of your employees and they'll take care of you. And it's all, for me, I'll answer my phone at 11 o'clock at night, at 2 o'clock in the morning if they need to get buzzed into the warehouse, because I want to be there for them. I want to know that, you know, even though I'm a Howe, it doesn't mean I take anything for granted. I'm there to support them and help them. And it's like I'm out there with them. I always say, we can go out and do this job. Well, Jamie, are you coming with me? No, but I'm going to be there. You can call me and I'll help you. You know, so it's something it's a family atmosphere. I mean, it was grown from a family. It's passed down to a family, and now we're in a third generation of a family. So we do have a corporate like environment with lots of rules and accountability.
Sure. Right.
But like my mom said, if any of our technicians or employees or anybody needs something, they're always there to be a helping hand, and our managers as well. So we're always there for them.
Mm-hmm. And we have some great parties. Oh yeah.
The parties are good.
Yeah. Not this year, unfortunately, but in past years, yeah. we do spoil them.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any like employee incentive programs? Like, obviously you have a great culture, but do you have like any employee recognition or incentive programs?
We do, yeah. Once a month we have we have 5 awards that are given out, and we call it our company-wide shop meeting. So yeah, whatever they've excelled at throughout the month, we have 5 categories, and a technician is you know, honored with that. And then
we have different, you know, bonus platforms as well. When a truck meets a certain revenue and they meet the criteria of whether it's like reviews or driving well, whatever it might be, they're able to meet those goals and get 1%, 2%, sometimes 3% on their bonus as well. We had some Bill Howe bucks at the time, where
Bill Howe bucks,
where they were able to earn stuff on it was like a raffle, not a raffle, but you know, like you earn so many bucks and you get to pick that PS3 player.
Oh yeah.
And we use the Bill Howe books for the site visits. Like if all the guys hit every single criteria, then they get so many Bill Howe books that they could turn in and
earn a prize. Yeah, because, you know, sometimes we all need a little push to take a 5 o'clock call when we're not on call. I'm tired, but, you know, they're great. Everyone's wonderful when they're going above and beyond. It's thanks to them that we're here today.
That's so creative, the Bill Howe bucks. I love that. This is a really, really great question from Bonnie. As a large organization, what do you guys do to help your community?
Oh, we are very philanthropic, and our daughter Jess is our CFO, and she's always trying to rein me in. So and we both give of our time and our money. Like once a month, we have as employees that are available. We volunteer at the food bank. We also support them at their annual gala once a year. We support the American Heart Association. Not only they have a big luncheon in February, and then They have the Go Red Walk that our employees come to. The Boys and Girls Club, I'm on the board for the Boys and Girls Club, so we support them in a huge way. We have a ton of little organizations that we support too. And we also support the Humane Society, because I'm crazy about animals. Animals and kids get me every time. And then we also support our employees. If they've got children in baseball leagues, football leagues, and they need sponsorships, then we're always behind that.
I like that a lot. And it's obviously great because, you know, those kids probably in that area are talking about, oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, that's the company my dad works for. And yeah, that's the banner. And I feel like that's an awesome thing where you're able to give back, but also that's very effective advertising because it gets people to talk. Anything like that.
Oh yeah, the Warrior Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. If on that same note, so for our pros who maybe want to get started in giving back to their community, where do you advise the place to start? Like maybe it's not a big amount of money, but like where should they look to go start giving back to their community first?
I would say, volunteer their time in something that they're interested in, that they're passionate about. It could be, like a Rotary Club. With the Chamber of Commerce, they've also got many programs or little organizations in their community. But as long as they're passionate about it, they'll always love to go and it will never become a chore.
I like that. That's very clever. It makes a lot of sense. So one question we love to ask our guests toward the end here, I feel like what's really important is we learned a lot. You guys shared a lot of tips, but ultimately we want to make sure that our pros do one thing tomorrow, just some kind of action. So I'm going to ask each of you, what is the one thing that you would advise any home service company that might not be doing today, but they should definitely go do tomorrow? What do you think that would be?
Always make sure that they have an ironclad handbook for their employees.
Ooh, okay.
You'd buy a labor law attorney.
I feel like something happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going there. I think just to check in with your employees every day, see how they're doing. They're visiting your customers every day. They're talking to your customers on the phone every day. I think sometimes in the hustle and the bustle, we forget that key component to our business because they make the wheels turn. They're the face of your company. They're the voice. So it's know your employees and check in with them to make sure, that they're doing all right. Mm-hmm. Make sure that, if there's concerns, you're right behind them and helping them through there.
I love that idea. We try to do the same thing. We have stand-ups and stand-downs, especially now since everyone's working from home. It's really good just to check in, talk about what you did that day or what you're struggling with. And I feel like now more than ever that communication is really important, not just to customers, but also your employees, because they're definitely the lifeblood of your business. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much. I feel like we've learned a lot. It's been super fun. You guys are always laughing. I feel like I was laughing the whole time. So these types of interviews always make me so happy. Thank you guys again for coming on. And Alexa, what's next?
You guys, tomorrow, this is our second to last show, so we feel very honored that we can all come together as local San Diegans over here. So tomorrow is our last live show before we move to an on-demand structure, and we have Simon Sinek coming on tomorrow. And Roland, do you want to quickly just say a little bit about Simon and why they should be here tomorrow? You guys are invited too, Tina, Jamie, and Jessica, all the Howes.
I like Simon Sinek. He's got great advice.
Yeah, Simon Sinek is someone I've read all of his books, so I'm super excited myself just to be on here, asking him all kinds of questions to help you guys out, especially as it relates to home services, because he talks to so many different industries and things like that. It seems like really high level, but once we can understand that high level pitch, we'll be able to drill down into some specific tips for you guys. He's probably the most viewed TED talker, I would say. I don't know, he's at least up there in the top 1, 2, or 3. And he's definitely defined a lot of the things that we do also at Housecall Pro. So it's going to be really exciting to have him on as kind of the ending guest of season 1 before we go to season 2.
Yeah. And one more thing, Tina, Jamie, if our pros want to check out what Bill Howe is doing or what you guys are doing, where can they find you online?
Oh, billhowe.com.
Yep, billhowe.com.
BillHowe.com. Go check out their website. Go check out their about or their online presences on their Instagrams and social media. So again, thank you both for joining us tonight. We are very happy to have talked to you and learned from you, and I know our pros are too. So we'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time for our last live show with Simon Sinek. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.